No one remembered the day Ethan Carter was born. There were no celebrations, no photos framed on the wall, no proud smiles waiting for him. He was born in a small, forgotten town where dreams went to die quietly. A town where people didn't ask what you want to become, but how long you can survive. Ethan grew up hearing the same sentence again and again. Be realistic. To the world, it sounded like advice. To Ethan, it felt like a cage. His father worked double shifts at a factory that smelled of oil and broken promises. His mother cleaned houses that were bigger than their entire street. They were good people, tired, exhausted, defeated by life. But they loved him the only way they knew how, by teaching him not to dream too big. Dreams hurt, his mother once said quietly while folding laundry. Reality keeps food on the table. At school, Ethan was invisible. Not smart enough to be praised, not bad enough to be noticed, just there, sitting in the last row, watching life pass by like a movie he wasn't allowed to star in. But every night, something changed. When the town went silent and the lights dimmed, Ethan would lie on his bed, staring at the cracked ceiling. In that silence, he imagined a different life, a life where his name mattered, a life where he didn't feel small. He didn't know how he would escape. He just knew he had to. At 18, Ethan made a decision that scared him more than anything he had ever done. He decided to leave. No savings, no connections, no plan B. Just a backpack, a cheap bus ticket, and a heart full of fear pretending to be courage. When the bus pulled away from the station, his mother cried quietly. His father hugged him once, hard, then said, "Don't come back broken." Those words stayed with him. The city was loud, fast, and cruel. It didn't care where you came from. It only cared what you could offer. Ethan couldn't offer much. He worked wherever he could, washing dishes, delivering food in the rain, stacking boxes at night. He slept in a shared room with strangers who also thought the city would save them. Every rejection hurt. Every "we'll call you" felt like a lie. Some nights, he sat alone on the floor of his tiny room, staring at his phone, scrolling through social media, watching people his age succeed, smiling, winning, and that dangerous thought crept in. Maybe I'm not meant for more. One night, after a 14-hour shift, Ethan collapsed onto his bed. His hands were shaking. His body ached. His bank account showed numbers so low they felt like an insult. He opened a message from his father. "Factory is cutting jobs. Things are tough here." Ethan stared at the screen. He felt like a failure. He had left to become something, and now he couldn't even help his family. That night, he packed his bag. He was going to quit. The next morning, Ethan sat on a bench outside the bus station, waiting for the bus that would take him back to the life he ran from. He felt empty. Then someone sat beside him, an old man, wrinkled hands, calm eyes, a face that looked like it had seen too much life. "You look like someone carrying a heavy bag," the man said. Ethan forced a smile. "Feels heavier than it looks." The man nodded. "Where are you headed?" "Back," Ethan replied. "To where I belong." The old man laughed softly. "Funny thing about belonging," he said. "Most people never belong where they were born. They just stay because leaving hurts." Ethan looked at him, confused. The man continued. "Let me ask you something. If you go back, will the pain stop?" Ethan stayed silent. "Or will it just change its address?" Those words hit him hard. The old man stood up slowly. "Pain is the price of growth. Comfort is the price of regret. You choose which one you can live with." Then he walked away. No name. No goodbye. Just words that burned. Ethan watched the bus arrive. Doors open. People stepping in. This was his moment. Fear screamed at him to get on. But something else whispered louder. "If you quit now, you will quit forever." He stood up and walked away from the station. That day, nothing magically changed. He was still broke, still tired, still scared. But for the first time, he chose himself. That night, Ethan wrote something on a piece of paper and taped it to his wall. "I may be slow, I may fail, but I will not stop." He didn't know it yet, but that decision would change everything. Ethan didn't become successful overnight. In fact, for months after that day, nothing improved. Same jobs, same exhaustion, same silence when he asked life for a sign. But one thing changed. He stopped running. Every night after work, while others slept, Ethan stayed awake. He watched free lectures, read borrowed books, learned skills on an old laptop that overheated every 20 minutes. He wasn't chasing motivation anymore. He was building discipline. No applause, no likes. No one believed in him. That's where real growth begins. One evening, a coworker mentioned a small startup looking for interns. "No pay," the coworker laughed. "Just experience." Ethan didn't laugh. He applied. 3 days later, he got an email. "We'd like to give you a chance." A chance. That word meant everything. He worked harder than anyone there, came early, left late, took notes while others complained. When something went wrong, he stayed quiet and fixed it. Slowly, people noticed. For the first time in his life, someone said, "You're good at this." Those words fueled him for weeks. 6 months later, Ethan had helped build something valuable. He believed he was finally moving forward. Then one afternoon, his manager called him into the office. "We're letting you go." Ethan froze. "What? Why?" The manager avoided eye contact. "The company is restructuring." Later that day, Ethan found out the truth. Someone else, someone he trusted, had taken credit for his work. That person got promoted. Ethan got replaced. He walked out of the building with his box of belongings, hands shaking. This pain was different. This wasn't rejection. This was betrayal. That night, Ethan didn't cry. He stared at the wall. His mind whispered, "See, even when you do everything right, you lose." Bills piled up, rent overdue, calls from home unanswered because he had nothing positive to say. For the first time, Ethan felt anger, not at the world, but at himself. "I'm tired of fighting," he whispered. He stopped studying, stopped applying, stopped believing. Days blurred into weeks. This is the dangerous place, not failure, but giving up quietly. One morning, a letter arrived from his mother. She rarely wrote. Ethan opened it slowly. "Your father lost his job, but yesterday, he said something strange. He said, 'At least Ethan is brave. He tried. We're proud of you, even if you fail.'" Ethan's hands trembled. All this time, he thought he was disappointing them. He was wrong, and that realization broke him. That night, Ethan stood in front of the mirror. He looked tired, older, scarred. But his eyes held something new, resolve. He said out loud, "Life will keep testing me because I haven't passed yet." He picked up his notebook again, started from zero. Again. Not because he felt strong, but because he refused to die average. Months passed. No dramatic wins, no viral success, just consistency. Rejection after rejection. Failure after failure. But Ethan learned something powerful. Every setback was sharpening him. He became better, smarter, tougher. And then one day, quietly, an email arrived. A real offer. A real salary. A real chance. He read it 3 times. Then he sat down and cried. Not because he had won, but because he had survived. As Ethan signed the contract, he felt relief. He thought the worst was over. He was wrong. Because just when you think you've made it, life asks one final question. How badly do you want this? And that question would change Ethan forever. Ethan thought stability would bring peace, a steady job, a paycheck, a routine. But peace didn't come. Instead, fear followed him into the new office. Fear of losing everything again. Fear of being exposed. Fear that someone would discover he didn't belong there. Success doesn't erase insecurity. It reveals it. Every morning, Ethan arrived early. Every night, he left late. Not because he was asked to, but because he remembered how easily life could take everything away. While others chased comfort, Ethan chased mastery. 1 year into the job, the company faced a crisis. A major project failed. Clients were furious. Deadlines crushed. Leaders panicked. Then the CEO said the words no one wanted to hear. "We need someone to take responsibility." Silence filled the room. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He wasn't the most senior. He wasn't the safest choice. But he remembered the bench, the old man's words, the nights he almost quit. He stood up. "I'll do it." Eyes turned toward him. Some doubted, some judged, some whispered. But Ethan didn't sit back down. For weeks he worked relentlessly. But the damage was deep. Despite his effort, the project collapsed. The board demanded consequences. Ethan was called in. He knew what was coming. This time, he didn't beg. He didn't explain. He accepted it. "I understand," he said calmly. As he walked out, something strange happened. He felt free. For the first time, his self-worth wasn't tied to an outcome. 3 days later, his phone rang. It was the CEO. "You didn't fail," she said. "You showed leadership when no one else did." She paused. "We want you back, in a bigger role." Ethan closed his eyes. This wasn't luck. This was earned pain paying interest. Years later, Ethan stood in the same small town he once escaped. But this time, he didn't feel small. He visited the old factory, the bus station, the bench. The bench was still there. He sat down and smiled. He understood now. Life never tried to stop him. It tried to shape him. Ethan later spoke to a group of students, nervous faces, hungry eyes. He said, "You will fail. You will be ignored. You will be betrayed. And none of that means you're weak. It means you're early." He paused. "Don't quit because it's hard. Quit only if you're done becoming." Silence filled the room. Not the empty kind, the powerful kind. Ethan was never special. That's the point. He didn't win because he was lucky. He won because he didn't stop when quitting felt logical. And somewhere out there, someone watching this, is standing at their own bus station, holding a bag full of doubt, wondering if they should go back. This is your sign. Stay. Fight. Become.